Welcome, dear all, to twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. This is Stammer Stream, a show. We are people in it. Wensleydale Cheddar, Hoven with an H, and Dr. Nova. How are you guys doing?
Not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty okay overall.
Yeah. And playing lots of Persona 5, which is pretty dope. It's basically imagine JoJo's Bizarre Adventure if it was much sleeker and less sort of campy.
Okay. Is it possible to eliminate the camp from the equation?
Well, yeah, because they still have stands and do poses and stuff. But
oh, okay then. I've seen a lot of retweeting of Persona stuff from Kaito Ace, from Annalise, and for someone who doesn't know, who basically knows fuck all about Persona, I initially thought that these were all Osama pictures.
Because the main guy has glasses, yeah.
Yeah, so basically that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. No, it's the closest thing to being able to play an anime as a video game, without being an actual anime tie-in video game. Like, it's all about, kids who go to school, but there's also like a magical realm where they have to like dive into the heart of evil people and fight all like demons and stuff. It's basically like your typical slice of life magic action show, but as a game.
Okay.
And a lot of it is cutscenes, because Japan love their really long cutscenes. Like, it's almost half a visual novel, but then there's also large segments that are turn-based RPG. So it's a very unique sort of game. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I've noticed that. I've been about the cutscenes. I mean, I've been in preparation for writing Welkin for our latest adventure on the forum of the Eyebrow Pirates. I mean, I've been rewatching a lot of Valkyria Chronicles cutscenes. And every fucking single scene where with the darks and racism, that was a bit repetitive and eye roll inducing, but I did my research.
Yeah.
I don't have Persona 5 at all, so
It's really hard to get from, like, at this point you kind of need to order it online if you want to get it, or get it digitally, because it's quite niche. So a lot of stores only stocked it like the week it came out. I'm amazed that I managed to get my hands on it when I did. Like, I was lucky enough to get a second-hand one from a store, and it was the Steelbook version. But it had literally just been handed in. So I don't
even have the system for it.
Yeah.
So it's very much a case where it's one of those things like, it sounds amazing. It always has. I have no real way of accessing it. Yeah.
So what's up at your end, Jonah?
Not a ton, really. I've been attempting to, because as some people know, I go on a hiatus on the forum, and hopefully not from the podcast. Hopefully I'll be able to work out some time when I'll be free then. But I'm working at this summer camp. Whoa, my phone just fell over, so which is gonna sound great on the recording later. But I work at this summer camp in the Niagara region of Ontario, which is a place where I don't always have the best internet connection, but also time to write. Which is unfortunate. So I've been prepping a lot for that. And another thing I'm doing lately is I've gotten a lot of questions from different people as to whether or not I'll be using some of that extra time to work on a sequel to the WMR RPG.
Ooh.
And I can tell you the answer outright is no. Because I have never seen a more lukewarm reaction to anything I've made in my entire life.
I've played right through it, and let me tell you, the cameo of Grail you did at in one particular scene I won't spoil is great, because the first time he talks, he yells at me, and this is so accurate.
Essentially, but and like I know that ending teases a sequel. There's no way it's going to be a sequel because I love the guys at Weekend Manga Recap, but I find it so amusing how just none of the shits were given about its existence. Like, I got no shout outs for it. Nick, I don't even think knows it exists, which is perfectly fine because I'm not sure what Nick's reaction would be to some of the stuff in it on his path.
Yeah.
But,
shame they couldn't at least drop it on like a Q&A episode or something, but oh well.
Probably not. And that's just what I find it's just what I found highly amusing to me, is that there was a complete lack of reaction to it. Well, and I was just like, well, this was a waste of time.
Well, maybe they just didn't have time to play it.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, like, I'm not complaining or anything. It's very much the case where I wanted to give an explanation as to why there's no way there's going to be a sequel, because, like, if people didn't give a shit for the first game, there's not going to be, like, major hype for, like, oh my god, when's that next forgettable game coming?
Oh, that's a shame.
So, it's all good. So that's not happening. But I have, because I work it's a very active camp, so I've been trying to get in much better shape for when I'll be working there, which I found is actually very easy to do. The issue is that I have a really, really horrible diet.
Oh.
So even though, like, I'm trying to be active every single day, my really awful diet is the perfect counteraction to that. So, trying to see how that ends up.
Ever since coming to uni, my diet has not been as good. Like, I haven't been eating as much cooked food, but I think relative to most other students, it's not too bad. Like, I at least bother to have vegetables, which a lot of them don't.
Well, you could just take Usopp as an example, because his weight loss has been more amazing than Chris's even.
So what I think I found out is I need to just sequester myself on an island nearby, which is going to be tricky because Canada's only real island in the area is Toronto Island, which is basically just a mini theme park. So if I want to lose weight, I feel like eating theme park food the entire time is probably not going to help me very much.
Well, what can you do? So, on my end, and this is a reason there's no grand witty introduction this week, is that I didn't really have time, because I've actually been doing a lot of work on Penganta, my animated series that Milo's making music for.
Which I can finally write music for again, because
yay!
I'm off assignments now.
Yeah. I'm really grateful for that, by the way. For you making music and stuff. Not for your exams being over, which I suppose. Well, never mind. I just lost myself in my train of thought.
It's alright.
So I had to do a lot of script writing lately because we're making a bunch of promotional mini audio plays. We're going to release on YouTube. These will be essentially a few scenes of characters talking, and it'll of course be in Polish, but we're gonna release them with English subtitles when the time comes. So yeah, I'll let you know during the stream when the deed is done.
Sounds good. That sounds really nice.
Yeah. It will probably be our first time recording our stuff in a proper studio as well. So this is gonna be fun.
So my side of it is gonna sound even more low quality than usual.
Oh.
I love it.
So meanwhile, let's move on to the review proper. As you may have noticed, Castor is absent because he tragically died of licking too much nitric acid. So I'm recapping One Piece this week.
Okay.
What a bizarrely specific way to die.
Yeah. What is this? Tsukasa can identify it and I can't.
I forgot he was Pegasus.
Let's just.
Ooh, just wait till we get to We Never Learn. I have a lovely rant on that, Yugi boy.
Let's just replace Castor with that voice.
All right, guys. I'm gonna be playing Castor this episode. So.
All right.
So I'm gonna have double the unnecessary rants.
Yeah, it's and you're gonna be arguing with yourself over One Piece because we seem to take turns in arguing with Castor.
Yeah.
All right then. Yeah, it kind of fits even because you're recapping Black Clover. But anyway, One Piece, chapter 865. Hey, mother! So, Gangster Gastino and Brule engage in the wacky antics as they set up the escape mirror. Gastino peeks over to see if everything's going according to plan, but there are a few complications. Luffy heads over to show Big Mom the photo, but Katakuri tries to stop him. Prospero's about to execute Germa 66, and Regis starts thinking about Sanji's kindness as he tries to get past Daifuku. In her thoughts, she thanks him for allowing the mother's good nature to live on in the Vinsmoke blood. So Beige, Jinbei and Pedro defend Luffy so that he can reach Big Mom. Katakuri manages to pin him down, but guess what? Luffy's made of rubber, so he stretches his arms...
How did that happen? Yo ho ho, we took a bite of gum gum.
Yes. Oh dear. So he stretches his arms in Big Mom's direction. Big Mom sees the picture, and in a 2-page spread, she screams so loud that the air seems to split. Many of the guests are knocked out due to the effect of her conqueror's haki, but it doesn't stop there because the scream continues for the next 3 pages. Once Beige sees her knees are bleeding, they prepare the MacGuffin rockets and fire. Meanwhile, Chopper plops some earplugs into the Vinsmoke's ears, while Sanji breaks a candy coating with his Diable Jambe. At the same time, Big Mom has a flashback just before she gets shot. Mother? Are you listening, Mother? Everyone, they won't listen to what I say. Hey, Mother! Where'd you go? Why do you suddenly disappear? Where did you come from?
3 years ago in the New World. Elbaf.
Yes. Those... yeah, we end with this caption as we see a mountain island.
We're finally gonna see Elbaf.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh dear. If Big Mom turns out to be a half giant, things will finally start to make sense, height-wise.
Yeah.
From the ending of this chapter, actually, when she's sort of complaining that no one's really listening to her, I wonder if the twist is going to be that Big Mom is, like, I guess for lack of a better term, a stunted giant. Like a very large person, but just not that large in comparison to all the other giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the runt of a litter or something.
Mm-hmm.
Although, and it's always amusing to me that we've seen giants that are smaller than regular humans that are just a bit tall.
That's true. That's very amusing. There is one thing I'm not big on this chapter,
Yep.
and that's Katakuri's fruit. Because Oda appears to have changed the kind of shading he used for it, because when he first used it, there was this really dark shading to it that made it look really, really cool, but that's kind of been taken away, possibly because maybe that would be a lot harder to draw when there's so much happening in this chapter.
That might have been Haki.
It probably was Haki, but I guess my issue with it is that without it, it looks a little too similar to Mr. Three's power.
Oh yeah, the wax.
fruit.
I can see that.
Yeah,
So
I guess, or
and
the caribou.
yeah, and
Caribou's usually had a bit more kind of consistency to set it apart, though. Like it was much more dribbly and all over the place.
Yeah, I
and
suppose.
Caribou couldn't really produce that much, if I remember correctly. His was more that he could just store a lot of stuff inside of himself.
Yeah. It might be one thing that just translates much better to anime form, where they can color it in.
I think so, but I think we already kind of had that solution when it was the darker coloring, just kind of set it apart, because now it seems a little bit, I guess, standard. Like this is seen, even though it's a Logia, it's still a power that I feel like we've seen before. And without the kind of dynamic coloring to set it apart, it feels a little more unimpressive.
Yeah, I suppose. Although I kind of like Katakuri in this chapter, because I like the fact that it took 3 of Luffy's allies to try to stop him, and then he still manages to take Luffy down. It really makes it seem like Luffy and the others are up against a much stronger opponent in Big Mom's crew, and then they really needed this plan to this kind of scheme to take her down.
I definitely agree, though it does make me wonder what exactly Smoothie is doing this whole time.
Yeah, but she's essentially pulling a Natsu in that she just stares at Beige and says, "Hey, someone stop him!"
Yeah. To go off of Beige as well, there's a moment where he shoots Katakuri, and the English translation is him yelling "You're dead" as he fires bullets at him, and I'm like, you have to have been around Logias enough to know how this works, man. You've been around this guy for a few years. You have to know this is not gonna work out.
I mean, maybe he was using, and this is just gonna be me playing devil's advocate. He was just going to do something along the lines of what he did with Gastino, essentially suggesting that he has sea stone bullets to just scare him, and yeah.
I don't think.
Basically, it being
I
a bluff.
don't think that's the case. I'm not sure if that's the case necessarily, because a bluff usually doesn't work if you're yelling the bluff while shooting a gun at him.
Yeah.
Can I just say one panel in this that I utterly loved was the one of Sanji standing on the table, overlooking his dad. Just the shading on his eyes, the way the coat's blowing, the fact that both of his feet are in flames from the Diable Jambe, but they're stationary. It's a really cool visual.
That's a good one. My favorite panel is a lot less impressive. It's right under when Beige shoots Katakuri, where not only do we get Panda Woman again, but we also get a guy whose outfit is apparently he pulls a top hat so far down his face that he sees through the skull pattern on the top. Which, I know these are never going to be prominent characters, but I just love Oda's little background designs.
Now I need to find my favorite panel too. Alright then, it'll be the little dopey panel of Chopper plugging Radio's ears and just going,
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I like this chapter quite a bit. Honestly, I was worried last week that we were gonna draw out this exchange a little bit too long, and I'm happy that we seem to finally be ending it with Big Mom throwing out her Conqueror's Hockey scream, which has some very interesting effects on different people, because there are quite a few people who just, fall over foaming at the mouth. But there are quite a few who don't. A lot of the stronger characters, including Big Bird, which is interesting to me. They apparently like Big Bird strong enough to withhold this. And it's interesting that we're going into a flashback right now, because this is a crazy cliffhanger to leave off of for what will be quite a while, given how long Oda usually likes to, draw out the flashbacks.
Yeah. Also, Big Mom's gonna get a tragic backstory. Big Mom for Straw Hat, anyone?
No.
Can she even fit on the ship? I don't think she can.
I assume they could just they could just oh shit, I forgot what the word in English. They could essentially put her on another ship and do what we do with Cabot Jonah.
Oh, just like tow him behind.
Yeah,
tow Big Mom behind.
Yeah, tow her behind. That was essentially the word I was looking for. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, cool chapter. The tease for the flashback is practically what's made it, but yeah, I like what's happening. So, anything else to say, or shall we move on to Food Wars?
Yeah, Food Wars it is. Oh wait, we don't have Fairy Tail this week. Yeah, Food Wars it is.
We don't have Fairy Tail this week, thanks to me fucking up last week and thinking this week's chapter was last week's chapter. So sorry about that, guys.
Still worth it. Still worth it for what we got out of it last week.
Oh yeah.
So in this chapter of Food Wars, a lot is said, but not a lot happens. So this will be a very fast recap. They talk about the fact that in the end, Somas seem to have a stronger soba flavor due to a bunch of different science-y buckwheat facts that I'm not going to repeat nor attempt to understand. And it's revealed through these many different panels and explanations that apparently Souma thought about it more, which I have a slight issue with, but we'll get to that later. And then Souma has one of his, like, oh, here's why I'm a great chef moments. Then Souma takes the first round match victory, and Nene's clothes explode off as she eats some soba.
It's such a we never learn moment, because it happens right at the end, and yeah, it's essentially we get just a little panel where she tries to eat it, and then boom, just the full baked spread at the end.
Then just a butt. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could send that screenshot to a few choice friends and they'd love it.
Oh yes.
So, yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah.
I will say that. Who first?
You go first.
Okay, I will say this chapter did have one thing that was definitely missing from the last one or two, which was actually having it be focused on Ishiki, the dynamic of Ishiki versus Kinokuni. Like, he is actually explaining how Souma won to her rather than it just being her and Souma, because they are meant to be the two characters that are kind of facing off ideology-wise here, because they have the shared history. But yeah, apart from that, it is just kind of the same sort of victory that Souma always has every time, and it's justified well, but there is just this feeling on the back of my mind of I'm getting a little burnt out on seeing this kind of victory repeated over and over again.
I was thinking you were going to say, what was really missing from these past few chapters was Nene's butt. I mean, we really need to see
that. There has been a distinct lack of that in Shokugeki no Soma recently, and I think it's excellent that the series is going back to its roots in this case. And I can't keep saying that with a straight face.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to its roots in many ways, because it kind of reminds me of the beginning few chapters where it was emphasized in the first few Shokugekis that Souma had. About him being a diner chef and having experience.
I guess my slight issue with this chapter, and I fully admit it's a personal thing, is that I'm really getting tired of getting the same reason why Souma wins every single one. Because even if you can argue, it's slight variations off it, it's still the exact same reason. It's like, my opponent was too narrow-minded and I wasn't. My horizons were much larger, and because of that I could be more creative, which is how he wins most of his Shokugeki. And granted, there are some times where he has that mindset where he doesn't win, because the Fall Classic was that same example. But even in that case, it's still the same mindset of, you guys were going to use the most pristine fish, but I went outside the box and used a fish that I'd aged instead because you guys had tunnel vision in that case, but I didn't. And it's a little repetitive.
Yeah, it's like in a vacuum, I think I'd have enjoyed this chapter. Like, this chapter is pretty well done for that. It's just that we've seen that sort of arc and that sort of resolution to Souma's Shokugeki's done so many times.
Yeah. Although in a way I can kind of understand it, because this is the kind of establishing fight for all the fights to come. So maybe this was the thought process behind it. We're going to go back to the main reason why they are fighting, and why Souma usually wins. But yeah, it is kind of repetitive.
And I think the reason it's most repetitive is partially because there aren't a lot of characters in this manga who we've seen have more than one Shokugeki other than Souma. But when we do see them, the point is usually that, here's how they've progressed going forward. That was the point of Megami's matches, of Kurokiba's Kurokiba's match against Rintaro, and the inverse of that when Hayama returned, where his style had changed for the worse. And when you compare that to Souma, whose style, it's not that it hasn't changed at all, because it has gotten refined, but his philosophy and his mindset of it make it so that the explanation for why he wins doesn't change each time. And that, I think, is what gets kind of boring for the reader, is that even if he's making different food and he's using different techniques, at the end of the day, they always give the same explanation for why Souma is the winner. And also, I just think he's really not patronizing, but Souma does have this unintentional habit of talking down to his opponents whenever he wins, which really makes other cool characters who he's going against appear a lot less cool afterwards.
Yeah. So, do we? I guess we kind of said.
I guess I will say, in a sense, it's kind of a shame to me that this Shokugeki just boiled down to the same old thing, because at the start it actually seemed like Kinokuni was going to be a little different. Like, there was that little exchange she had with Souma where she was like, I didn't rig it to be sober. I'd have fought you fair and square on anything, and it kind of felt like there was more of a friendly competition there, and that she wasn't just a stand-in for Azami's ideal, but it has just kind of boiled down into the same thing, which is a shame.
Yeah, and it's a personal thing. I fully acknowledge that I can see the good writing in this chapter, and I think the idea of, oh, Nene, this isn't really your cooking. This isn't really like your style of being a chef. This is just what you were taught. I can see how that's a good concept. On Nene's part, I think the writing here is very good. On Souma's part, I think it's what we've gotten before.
Mm.
Overall, I would look past with no, I used the wrong expression. Overall I like this fight for what it's trying to do in this arc. But yeah, even though it's maybe kind of repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, my hero?
All right.
Sure.
So, that's My Hero Academia, chapter 137, Restraint. So, back in the UA, Bakugo's trying to make the 4 interns spill the beans about their operation, but they were ordered to keep quiet. In a flashback, Aizawa makes sure the students are motivated. Deku feels motivated indeed, but there's also the question of All Might's incoming demise, which he didn't manage to ask Tsunaitai about. In a nice moment, Ida, I was going to say Ishida, Ida tries to get Deku. They are kind of similar.
They both have glasses.
Yeah, and black hair. Tries to get Deku to talk it out, tying back to the time when he had his issues with Stain. Deku appreciates the offer but refuses. Later that day, the operation starts as the heroes close in at Shie Hasakai's base. So Night Eye finds out where Eri is in a very strange fashion. He essentially happened to be visiting a toy shop. I assumed to buy essentially a toy for little girls, which the creepy caretaker happened to be buying too. And guys, can it just be our headcanon that Tsunaitai is a brony?
No.
Alright then, it is.
I'd be down with that.
Alright then, so he touches the creepy caretaker and then sees his future to make sure. They get a warrant to raid the base, which is nice. And the entire team gathers right behind Overhaul.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
There was a lot in this chapter to like. Just the little touches of when Deku is having lunch with Todoroki and Ida, who are 2 characters we haven't seen much of in a little while, particularly Ida. So to have this moment from him was really nice, just to show that the mangaka hasn't forgotten about him.
Yeah, just showing some emotional support from both him and Todoroki.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, this chapter had a certain plot point was a great relief to me, because as soon as last chapter they said, "Oh, well, I guess because we know Deku's just gonna want to come too, we'll make an exception for you." I thought that meant that like Kirishima, Tsuyu, and Uraraka were gonna get kind of shafted, so it's a relief to see them coming along as well for this arc. That was something I was a little worried about.
Yeah, no, I didn't mention it before, but we also have a nice moment, kind of developing what we know of Mirio and Night Eye's relationship, as they prepare to attack the Shie Hasakai base. He has this nice monologue about in which we kind of see how much he really sees him as the next All Might.
It is very nice. There's certain like little artistic things where I had to look over it twice to see exactly what was happening because I was very confused. At one point, the Lock hero, who I don't know his name, but he has the lock, earrings, and the keys on his side. At one point, we see him jumping over a pole, and I did not see the top of the pole, so for a moment I thought his quirk was that he's able to pole vault over things from poles that come out of his butt, and like, that is a horrible quirk. That is, I mean, A, how did you manage to get a hero with that How did you manage to become a hero with that power? And B, what does that have to do with your key gimmick? And this character instantly became the most interesting person in the entire series to me.
He's also the one that's been bad-mouthing the UA students during the meeting. Mm-hmm. So yeah, probably gonna be important.
Mm. Yeah. The ending panel is really excellent, especially where we see Overhaul walking through the only well-lit room in his entire base. I don't know why. It's just become my headcanon that like everywhere else is like horribly lit. So it's just my imagination. He's walking down the hall, about to open the door. He's like, "They're here!" Oh shit! He just falls down because he can't see where he's going anymore.
This is amazing. I was wondering how exactly they all managed. This entire crowd managed to sneak up on him, just to see his back.
Oh, if they were actually behind him right now, then this is fucking hilarious to me.
I assume that because in the next panel we see his back. So, yeah.
I guess. I assume, like, we know he doesn't have a sensing power. So, assumably, he's had someone to tell him about that. But that would be very amusing to me if he's like, "They're here," turns around, sees all of them, like, "Oh shit, they're really here." And he just bolts. Like, wow, how did I not notice all 15 of you? Really gotta get better bodyguards.
You are kind of stealthy, I'll tell you that.
There is no way half these people are stealthy. There is no way.
Kirishima, of all people.
Kirishima, Fat Gum,
Mirio even.
Mirio could be stealthy. My next thing was going to be I forget her name, but the girl with like the horns on her head. There's no way she sneaks around anywhere.
Yeah. Unrelated, but I know how we made comparisons to the big three and others, but like there's one girl in Danganronpa, I think it's Danganronpa 2, who looks just like the horn girl, who I forgot the name of.
Sonia Nevermind.
Yes, yeah, it's her. They look really similar.
They do look really similar, so I'm hoping that she ends up in a relationship with Tamaki, and Tamaki just turns into Gundam, and then I'll be very happy.
So,
I just want...
Danganronpa podcast episode 2, everybody. Good night.
I've still only played about like an hour of the game.
Every single episode of the podcast is the same. It's just me inserting Gundam into different medium.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah, no, my friends weren't very happy with your opinions on Chiaki and whatever the other one was, Hiyoko.
I didn't even give an opinion. I just said I didn't like them.
That's enough.
Yeah, but it's not like I gave like explanations or stuff like that. I was just like, I don't like these guys that much. I can give a quick one. It's the exact same. I don't like them because they're both jerks. There we go.
Okay, well, that adds up. I've had many an occasion where I've tried to talk to them like, I don't like dick-headed characters. They're like, what are you on about? So yeah.
I don't like them for the exact same reason. Hyoko like shits on all the other characters, and it's treated as a dick move that no one confronts her about for some reason. And then Chiaki does the exact same thing to all the characters I like.
But guys,
like,
they're smug, and smugness is so cool. Okay, whatever.
I guess, but it's just not that interesting. Half of her dialogue is just like, wow, you really suck, Kazuichi. Wow, you really suck, Gundam. Wow, you really suck, Hanada. Wow, you really suck, Sonya. Like, it's just like, hey, Jonah, here's every single character you like. Fuck them. Like, no, fuck you. Also, Kirishima's shoulder plates are gears, and I like that.
Mm.
Well, that was a nice segue.
Join us next week where we talk about the third Danganronpa game and how the best character is a really muscly guy in love with insects.
All right.
I shouldn't have gone onto Danganronpa again.
Oh, just wait. I'm going to bring it up again and we never learned. Anyway, again. So what did everyone think of this chapter overall?
Yeah, it was a setup chapter, but it did all of the stuff it needed to do. It had some nice little character moments, and just the 2-page spread at the end was super cool. Very jazzed for what's to come.
I really like the Ida moment, and definitely for someone who was established to be a very major character. It's been a while since we've seen from him, and I really like that we still have that moment of friendship between him and Deku.
Yeah, this is a really solid chapter. I like it quite a lot. The ending 2-page spread is very good. Horikoshi has this really excellent way of drawing hair, so that whenever we see it, it looks really cool. I almost wonder what all of them are looking at the moment, because like obviously you have to have all these different positions to show off the characters. Yeah. I just like that 3 different people are sideways.
Yeah.
Like Nene is turning her head, Fat Gum is trying to turn his head, and then Suyu's just facing the audience and kind of looking to the side a little bit.
What? Oh, wait.
We got to show off our most popular girl.
Okay, so
I just like the fact that whenever she's looking at, she's like, this is worthy of my attention, just not enough to turn my head or my body.
Okay, so the Horn Girl's name is Nene too.
I think like her superhero name was Nene-chan or something like that. I don't know. I'll Google it, but
okay, I'm so glad that we've got the Kinokuni fights over with, because that would be confusing.
I only remember Tamaki. I only remember Tamaki because I write for a character with the same name. Otherwise, I'd have no idea who this guy is.
I remember Mirio because it's so nice to say Mirio. It's like Mirio Leona Vermilion, who we will get right into when we discuss Black Clover.
Is that going to be our segue?
All right.
Are we finished with my hero?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just gonna tweet what Nova said about Suyu's pose because I thought it was quite funny.
All right then. So
thank you.
So it's Black Clover chapter 109, the Yultim Volcano Trail. So, Dr. Nova.
All right. So in this chapter, they explain that there is a revitalizing hot spring at the top of this mountain. Except it's not a mountain. It is a very active volcano in the middle of an eruption, which is apparently a strong magic region, and they all have to make it to the top. Charlotte's sister, I think, appears, or she came with, I'm not quite sure. And they all start heading up toward the top of the mountain. The two magic captains going first and working very well. And as we find out, you can apparently use your mana to create a skin around yourself to block out heat.
Yeah.
Which is apparently something everyone can do.
Well, apart from Master, but who doesn't have any magic.
Apart from Asta, yeah. So everyone starts heading up. They all have the different motivations. Yuno's doing it just because. The Crimson Lions are doing it to get stronger. Charlotte's sis is doing it so she can soak in a hot spring with her, which is a very solid, detailed character motivation. Noelle is doing it because she got brought along and she wants to get stronger. Asta is just kind of walking up, trying to cut the heat with his sword, and is surprised when he can't do that for some reason. We get, and I can't do the voice, but we get like, "Oh, Asta, you don't have any magic. What do you do?"
Oh, I just remembered it. You were supposed to do the recap as Caster.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, so Asta says, no, I'm never going to give up. And then the lion person is like, very well, go and climb this mountain after me. This is turning into, okay, new plan. It's not Pegasus anymore, it's Tim Curry. And he goes up to the top of the mountain. He says, I will make it to the top while holding this giant metal sword, which will only hamper me. But apparently the top of the mountain is where a dream is waiting for you. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that final sentence means. Like, I'll get to the top. That's where our dream is waiting for us. I'm like, what, your dream of, like, having a Hot Springs episode? I don't get it.
I mean, maybe he's dreaming that that the nun will be there, the sister.
Yeah, hopefully. I know he's probably delirious from the heat, but his inner monologues really add another level to just how dumb Asta is. Where he's like, this heat is so powerful. My muscles and guts can't do a thing about this, and my sword can't cut the heat. I'm like, well, no shit, it's not magic. It's just hot.
What? It was actually worth a try to cut it, because for all we know, it might have been magic.
I mean, there's lava right next to it. I don't think, like, if magic's the thing that's causing the heat, assumably the lava is also helping.
Well,
like, I feel like... It's... I don't know what to feel about this chapter. I'm sure it's fine. But if this is kind of our replacement to Fuego Leon, right down to the fact that she has almost the exact same moment Fuego Leon once had with Noelle, it's just not as... she's not as interesting to me. And I fully admit there could be more we find out about this character that could change that. But it's a good chapter. It's just not as interesting to me, and I don't like the ending, because I feel like every time Asta does anything, he has to have this conversation with someone. Like, even if he were to go to, like, Magic McDonald's or something like that, it would be like, you can't order without any magic. And then he's like, I'll find a way, runs forward. It's just kind of every...
I would like to see that.
It's just like every single Asta conversation with anyone he hasn't met yet, which is, oh, you don't have any magic, so you can't do anything. Yes, I can! Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat.
Yeah? Yeah, I mean, I found a lot of I found a lot of what was in this chapter funny. But now that I guess Miliolleona of Millions, kind of very chaotic personality. Can be kind of amusing. Yeah, but apart from that, there's nothing I really noticed of note. Owen?
I don't read Black Clover. Sorry.
Oh. Okay.
Fair enough.
Like, yeah. Usually Castor's here to like balance out with something else, but unfortunately he's not here this week. So.
Well, you can pretend to be Castor then.
Well, I'm just so sick of Aster, you know.
I love that.
All of the female characters.
Oh yes, I totally agree, other Castor.
Woo!
Aw.
Oh god, I
I'm
love
so
that.
sorry, Castor.
It would have been better if it had what's his face? Isaiah from Durara in it, because he's a good character.
I thought you were going to say
he actually
Tim
is.
Curry. I thought you were going to say Tim Curry from It for a moment. I was like, yeah, probably as well.
I love that
Damn it.
we each.
I'm now really annoyed that he's not on, because I wanted to tell him about character in Persona 5 who's literally a clone of the main character of Durara, the show he really likes. So, that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, we do have. We do have each different interpretations of what Castor's voice sounds like, and I love it.
There's not really interpretations. None of them are anywhere close.
It's probably better than Chris and Nick's impersonation of what a British accent sounds like.
That's what I love about all of our impersonations. None of them are British.
Oh, mine is.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just a really silly sounding voice.
Ah, there we go then. Chapter's okay. I'm not big on. I get it's hard to drum up a lot of enthusiasm for like when the prize at the end of the rainbow is a hot spring. I guess, but I mean, you know, this could be kind of fun. I think Black Clover is at its best when it's just trying to be a fun series.
I mean, I'm going to have a hot spring scene in my next adventure, but it's going to be so much better. Ooh.
We're going to have a much larger female cast then. We're going to have Gray and Charmy and Rebecca. And I've run out of female characters.
So
Oh,
then
no.
I'll just add Kane, and I'll also add Tika and Safine. I hope Hoven doesn't mind if I do that.
Vanessa and is her cat a girl? I will throw the cat in there as well.
They just all cross over into ODA Yar's universe. Alright then, Promise Neverland? Neverland?
Sure.
Alright, Promise Neverland, chapter 38. Forest of
Oh, we're
Vows.
Scottish now? Excellent.
Are you Scottish or Australian? Pick one.
I'm sorry. I'm a bad phonetician. Alright then. So I just realized, if all the kids have a 5-digit number on the necks, you guys know which number I want to see?
24601?
Of course I do.
Mm.
So...
I made that.
Yeah?
Gotta find the Hugh Jackman kid somewhere around here.
Yeah, no. I made that, like, my friend just tweeted, "Who am I?" And I just responded, 24601, and everyone got so angry at me.
So Isabella reports before Grandma that her children's escape is all her fault. The demons send over units to hunt the premium goods, and apparently they are all wanted dead or alive. So guys, quick! What bounty would you give Ray and Emma?
I think Ray would actually get a higher bounty. I think he'd get like a 400,000, whereas Emma is more in like the 250,000 range.
My bounty is like 400 million, thousand, trillion, plus 42.
And they both have bigger.
Thanks, Alice.
They both have
times.
They both have bigger bounties than Askeladd.
Everyone has bigger bounties than Askeladd. Literally every single canon character, I think, has a bigger bounty than Askeladd.
Chopper.
Well, Chopper's is a joke.
Alvida.
Go for that. Well, what was her bounty?
5 million, I think.
Did it get raised after she joined Buggy's crew?
I don't think it was specified anywhere. So
okay.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, he's beat the person from the first chapter of One Piece. Let's go.
Yeah.
Good work, dude.
And Higuma. Yeah. Speaking of the first chapter. So yeah.
Oh, the bandit guy.
Yeah. Who's dead anyway, so it doesn't matter. Right then.
I'd love to put that on like Askeladd's pirate resume. It's like higher bounty than the person from the first chapter and a dead bandit.
All right then. So as we cut to the forest, which turns out to be as tall as One Piece's freaking upper yard, the kids start to get tired. So Emma says it's time for breakfast. Emma stands guard and remembers her motivation, but says they aren't in. But Ray says they aren't in danger, and offers to do his shift. We get a lot of character development for Ray. The kids are all happy because he's alive and wish him happy birthday, even though he feels guilty about intending to leave them behind. And he reforms his own motivation to protect all the kids. So they establish they need to find water and follow the coordinates on William Minerva's pen and go south. But then Tiny Voice of Vegeta disappears, along with the rest of the kids, and only 4 remain when the chapter ends.
What?
This chapter has me very worried. Because and I fully acknowledge this is jumping the gun a little bit. So I'm not saying that this is where the series is going at all. I'm not saying that, this is definitely what's happening. But this is giving me major flashbacks to series like The Drifting Classroom or Cage of Eden, where every single chapter has to end with, oh my god, this brand new threat has arrived in the wilderness. And if that's sort of the direction Promised Neverland is going, is it sort of turning into like this wilderness survival series, where, every other chapter there's like this sudden mysterious thing that's happened that they have to figure out in order to move forward? Then that's a little disappointing to me, because as much as I can see the mangaka writing a very good rendition of that type of storyline, that's not as interesting a premise as we've been getting up until this point. And I also wonder if it might be a little too early to immediately introduce this other mysterious threat that's happening.
Yeah.
But I fully acknowledge that's me going out on the limb of what we've seen from this chapter. We do not in any way have enough information to see whether or not that's where the story's going. This is purely me speculating. And I'll also say what I said last week. Emma, you gotta trim that weird hair feather that's at the top of your head. That thing is ridiculous. That thing is ginormous.
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't know the full extent of what this threat is, or like how dire it actually ends up being. Like it could be like I don't know. It could be like some spider has them like nestled up, or like some predator has them like nested up somewhere, or it could just be a red herring. I'm hoping it'll lead to something significant to advancing the more general plot, though, rather than just a diversion. But
what seems to have happened, though, and maybe it's just me misreading it, but they hid under this, like this hidden area under a tree while they were eating, and from the looks of it, it looks like the entire tree is gone. So
I need to see this again.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, does the pen actually make a hologram, or is it just kind of the visualization of Ray's imagination?
No, I think it's actually making a hologram.
Okay.
That'd be a very amusing thing for Ray to imagine. Like, I imagine a little owl in a circle there, like, "Hi, Ray." It's like, "Hello, owl friend."
It's turning into Adventure Time.
Well, you know, it's artistic. You wouldn't understand.
If you had your baby memories, you could communicate with imaginary owls. It's like, I feel like I can do that already. Like, anyone can imagine to talk to an owl. Yeah, but not like, well. If you were like me, you'd have owl friends to help you out in your time of need.
I think the standing somewhere between the roots in one panel. I don't know.
Yeah. I still think this is a good chapter. I think that you know, I think that the character development we get from Ray is very, very good. He's really becoming a character that I find no matter what the situation I can really get behind. I'm just I'm cautiously optimistic going forward because I'm worried Promised Neverland might be turning into a series that's a bit less unique than what we've gotten up until now, but that's purely speculation on my part.
Yeah. I think, it's interesting that we cut back to Mom, though, because I was assuming that I was suspicious that they were going to maybe kill her off, but it seems like it's more like, oh, they're scolding her, but letting her off. So it looks like she will be a continuing presence in the series from here on, which is good, because she's a really engaging character.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is good. I like that. And maybe it's just like a piece of paper along those lines that the demon's holding, but I like to think they have like evil iPads. Like that's how they find everyone. Like, because otherwise, if it's not that, if it's not that, then there's like the even lamer possibility that they have like demon memos that they have to hand to everyone.
You know, when you have your demon memories. Sorry.
But there is one theory that I'll put forward, and I fully admit this might just be shading, but we see the shading and the types of colors that are on the demon's cloaks. And when we get that final panel of the trees, it almost looks like the backs of the trees have that similar shading and that similar like little dots of white along there. It's probably just the shading and I'm just reading way too much into it. But I wonder if like the darkness that's being hidden from the kids at the moment might have something to do with it. Probably not. Anyway. Probably not.
Anyway, let's move on to We Never Learn.
Right.
Oh, goody.
That's chapters 10 and chapter 11. I will be rereading that in the middle of your recap. So yeah, this should be
all
fun.
right. So yeah, chapter 10, the maiden genius day equals X, and 11, said value to a genius is a consequence of X. All right. So We start off with a color spread where Takamoto is the most adorable thing ever. I love her so much. She's great. We move on into the chapter where we get... Okay, these two chapters seem to follow like a recurring formula of start off on a really, really blatant fan service shot of the girl that's going to be important in this chapter. We get then some like insecurity that they have around Narayuki, and then it just kind of ends on like a weird little gag. So this first one is she's with her best friend Wingman, who they're like, oh my god, you still haven't confessed to Narayuki, what the hell? So they decide to take her to buy some more girly clothes to try and impress him. Then Narayuki arrives and her friends ditch her so that they can hang out. We learn that Takamoto used to have an interest in girlier stuff, but then peer pressure from boys that she hung out with made her stick with more of the tomboy style and interests. They then go into a shopping mall and they spot a possible present for Narayuki's sister, but it's the prize for a couple's princess carry contest where all of the couples see how long they can hold that position for. Takamoto has put on weight, put on muscle, so she's insecure about like being too heavy for Narayuki, which is a weirdly recurring thing throughout both of these chapters. Narayuki thinks that she's embarrassed rather than like insecure about weight, so he just toughs it out and they win the prize. She then asks him about what he thinks of her outfit, but then immediately gets flustered, shoves the prize in his face and runs away. So then we move on to the next chapter, which is basically, I'm going to go over this way quicker. Furuhashi has weight concerns. She thinks it's because that she's snacking between meals. Narayuki tries to convince her that she's thin. We get some weird, like, belly button fetish stuff where, like, she gets him to touch it to check if she's thin or not. And then he gets self-conscious, accidentally says it's bad when he doesn't actually mean her, he means the situation. She gets really sad about that, but we then learn that it's because she pigs out loads at night. It's not because she's snacking between meals. And so she starts eating noodles that are less fattening and goes back to her normal weight. Hooray. So yeah,
I love how dismissive you were in the second chapter. It's clear favoritism.
Yeah, maybe.
I was really... I don't know what word... Skeeved out isn't quite the right word.
I think skeeved is pretty apt.
Okay.
I need to Google that word, because I'm...
Yeah. The politics in these two chapters, like, maybe it's the gender politics I'm not huge on.
Yeah.
If only for the fact that this seems like every single tomboy character motivation I've ever seen in manga, which is, oh, when I was a little girl, I really wanted to dress all traditionally girly, but the boys said I was a tomboy, so I dressed like a tomboy even though I want to wear these clothes. And it's like, can't we just have, like, a girl who doesn't like to wear the really girly clothes?
We had the same
I guess I will cite, this is an anime character, but one of the characters in Bakemonogatari is just a tomboy, and there's no element of, I used to be interested in girly stuff, like, that's just it. So I guess there are a few examples. I haven't actually come across what you've talked about too much, but I could see that being a real issue.
There was one in Binbo Dagamiga, there was a few in To Love Ru, there was one in Nisekoi.
There was, of course, Sapphire in Pokemon Adventures.
Yeah. It's something you find in Japanese media a lot, which is just the idea that, like, oh, tomboys only exist because, like, people told them they were that way. In reality, they all want to wear, like, really girly clothes, and it's just not... I admit I'm just harsher on it because I've seen it so often, and it's just not something I like.
It didn't bother me too much with Takemoto, just because I feel like she's always kind of been presented as a little more like a slightly more typical sort of feminine, on the feminine side of tomboy. Like she doesn't wear like baseball caps or like typical boys' clothes that much. She just doesn't dress very girly. So it's not it's not the worst example, but I can see it being.
But even in that
okay.
case, that might just have more to do with school uniforms.
Yeah, true.
Than anything else, and it's similar to my problem I had with Souma. It's like in a vacuum, this is fine, but in that series, taken in the context of Food Wars, and in this one, taken in the context of Japanese media as a whole, it's just something that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Other than that, I fully acknowledge the chapter is it's cute. It's a cute chapter, and I like Takamoto fine. So I think that this is, a funny chapter because of that. The next chapter, the opening battle.
Well,
it's just I love the way this mangaka does fan service so much, because it really is just a case of like the editor gives him a note like, okay, you need nakedness in this chapter, and their response is always like, you know what, fuck it, and just adds it into like either the first or last page.
Yeah. I think the thing is, this series really doesn't need it. Like, I feel like this sort of show is like the appeal of this sort of series is watching the cute girls be cute, not like be sexualized and put in all of these really skeevy, revealing shots. Like, yeah, I guess it's just like, it's a personal thing, but like that doesn't do anything for me with this sort of show. Like, it doesn't seem necessary at all if you're trying to sell even if you're trying to sell the show on like the appeal of the girls. Like, I guess another example is stuff that's popular in Japan, like K-On! Or idol shows, tends to be very, very light on this sort of fan service, because it's often not necessary to get a big audience in for that sort of appeal.
And even in the context of Shonen Jump, there's a manga I talked about last week called Unisan that's far more shameless.
Oh dear, yeah. I've read a few chapters of that, and yeah.
That's far more shameless about its fan service than this. So even if you're trying to go to that audience, there's already a manga that, has much less restraint than you do within the magazine.
I mean, it's not as bad as Air Gear, but yeah.
It's not as bad as Air Gear, and from the little I've read of it, it's also not as bad as To Love Ru. The fan service is about as shameless, but there's more character in that series than there was in To Love Ru at the very least. But can we just get over? Can we just address the elephant in the room that this entire chapter is about like, oh, this character's gained like a small amount of weight. Oh,
that isn't at all physically noticeable.
That's the issue in this chapter. Like, really?
Yeah.
I don't understand like why this is like when you think of like what every single chapter has been up until this point, this is just a really bizarre it's just a bizarre thing. I admit there is something that's very funny where when she's trying to do her homework, she just keeps adding like food into it accidentally. Which is like 0 is equal to pudding to the power of 2 or stuff like that, which is equal to Odin, which is x to the power of 2 ax like eel or something like that.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
It's amusing. I just don't I don't understand the it's not even like I guess it's a fan service moment kinda for like you said, like the stomach fetish people.
Oh, no. I know people who are really into belly buttons, so yeah, it is a thing.
I understand that. Okay, look, everything is a thing. I've just come to accept that.
That
everything is a thing. But it's such a weird moment. It's like, no, I am really fat. I'll prove it to you by making you touch my stomach. It's like, what is happening? This is so weird. and she's like shivering and crying about it. It's just like, this is weirdly creepy. I don't understand.
I think this series does have that the Nisekoi blush down, although in some cases it's a little. In some cases it's just a bit weird. In other cases it's fine. Like it was in the last chapter. You know, you get a lot of blushing faces from Takamoto, and I don't mind that. Like that's just there to add to the cuteness appeal. It doesn't feel as weird and predatorial as it does in this chapter.
I guess one thing that is kind of, well, I wouldn't say I really like it per se, but I appreciated that it's that it makes sense for the character. Is that Firmino basically the reason for Firmino supposedly gaining weight is that she's bad at math. So yeah, in a way.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. These were two chapters I was not very big on, just from concept alone, but
yeah.
Sorry.
I do hope it is just a coincidence that we had two back-to-back chapters that were oddly fixated on girls being insecure about their weight, because I'd rather we move onto more interesting things.
Yeah, because it really just, like, from Uega's perspective in this chapter, it really just comes across as like, girls, am I right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't. You're not right. I don't understand what's going on. It really just goes like, yeah, this is how the female mind works completely. It's like I don't know. Look, they're not bad. They're just, this series is getting very, very harem-y, and as I've already stated, that's a genre I just don't like intrinsically. Just because I found that every single series by them every single harem series for the most part is shockingly similar to one another.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess I haven't indulged in a harem in a long time, so I'm not quite as burnt out. I think I could probably manage okay without being too bothered by those elements, but yeah, I'd rather they just went for more of a comedy slice of life without the romantic element being so pushed on it.
I'm fine with the romantic element.
I mean, like, as in, like, not even just like, no, if it was a romantic element and it was just one of the girls, or it really fleshed out that relationship, that's fine. I guess I'm just wording it badly.
Yeah, and the final panel is just kind of like, oh, so this entire chapter was pointless. Like, there wasn't just like, oh, the reason for gaining weight, and it had nothing to do with anything we were doing in the chapter. And it's like, and then her weight went back to normal. I'm like, did it? I didn't notice the difference. It's just such a non-issue.
This would be this would be maybe funnier if we got if Firmino suddenly I don't know gained a figure that Luffy gets usually after a meal.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know how you could have done this chapter well. This is just like such a weird, uncomfortable conflict, like the way they go about trying to solve it, which is like, I'm fat, see? Feel my belly. It's like, why? No! Like,
yeah.
Like, usually I feel like Uega has, like, reactions that make sense, but wouldn't it just be like, here, feel my belly to prove it? Wouldn't it be like, no, why would I do that? That's such...
I appreciate the comedy we get, but yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of agree on the tomboy thing, on the tomboy motivation that Jonah talked about earlier. But yeah.
I'm also very creeped out that when he does like touch her stomach, when he does do that, the sound effect is tap, which I don't know why, just feels a little bizarre to me. It's like do this, okay, tap, like. I don't know.
Okay then. So, shall we finish up with Dr. Stone?
All right.
Chapter 10, Student of Science.
All right. So, most of this chapter is taken up by a flashback where we find out Senku was very in love with science from a very young age. So his father pawned his car in order to buy Senku a bunch of different science equipment for him to work with. A lot of which, as touching as this moment is, I feel like is a little inappropriate for like a father to. Castor would be able to like identify it a bit more. This looks like there's like canisters of like liquid nitrogen and like nitrate and like corrosives and stuff in his room.
Oh, you didn't do it when you were a kid. Oh.
I'm just saying, there's a very, very large stack of what looks like pills for like a 6-year-old to have, but maybe that's just me. So he creates all these different inventions, including, I think, an electric ray to zap bullies, which is pretty funny. And as we find out, I think this actually adds a lot to their relationship. Yuzuriha, Taiju, and Senku have actually been a trio for a very long time, which I actually think adds a bit more depth to their relationship when you understand that Senku has a relationship with Yuzuriha that's not based on his friendship with Taiju, which helps quite a bit. So they send these 3 dolls of themselves into space that, that actually the experiment succeeds. They're dolls of theirs in space. And Senku, in the present, when Tsukasa is asking him to, stop doing all this science mumbo-jumbo, Senku's like, that's the one thing I could never do. So Tsukasa says, okay, fair enough. I'm going to kill you quickly and painlessly then by severing a part of your spine that's just going to make you lose consciousness and die instantly. And I don't know why you mentioned lose consciousness if he's going to die instantly. That feels like a weird, oh, well, at least I'll be unconscious when I die. It's like, well, if it happens instantly, I guess that's some comfort. We then get the, very sweet moment. I mean, it would be sweet if he didn't murder him right afterwards. Of Tsukasa saying, maybe you could have been my first friend, and now I'm going to murder you. Just as Taiju shows up. So yeah, is Senku dead and never coming back, guys?
I mean, yeah, they did just having a character have a big flashback that reveals a lot about their perspective is quite a typical device to have before you end up killing them off. I hope it's not, because if he is dead, where do we go from here? Because he is such a driving force in the direction, in the end goal of the show, which is to recreate civilization. And if we don't have the scientist guy, how is that possible?
He's basically the title character. He is the Dr. Stone to some degree.
Yeah, I don't really see him killed in any way whatsoever. What I do like in this chapter is that I think we finally get a specialization for Yuzuriha to have in this.
In
the new Stone Age? Yeah, crafting things. I think that might be it going forward.
Where the oh, because she made like the dolls.
Yeah, in the flashback, and it's might
maybe.
Yeah, there might be. It might be establishing something for the future.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
if what she goes for is like if she's the craftsman.
Yeah, her just recovering art in the new world, something along those lines.
That would add some much needed character to her.
In the very last panel, what is Senku reaching to? I mean Taiju.
He's in the last panel. Taiju is reaching Senku, falling over to his death. I think.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's it.
My theory is that though Senku's not going to die, he might be paralyzed going forward. Which is a theory I have forward.
Because at least like very, very gravely injured for a while, out of commission, so that they have to make do without him for a bit.
Or almost like they don't have the physical help him anymore. So like that, if we're going by Cheddar's theory, that Yuzuriya would be the craftsman. Maybe it's like he has to tell Yuzuriya, okay, like here you do this and you do this and you do this and this is how you make this.
Yeah.
So like he's the brain and she's like the person putting everything together.
Yeah, and essentially maybe we could find someone to specialize in medicine, to maybe cure him, maybe.
Yeah, this is of course assuming that next chapter we're not like, oh no, Senku's dead as shit. Never mind. That weird high heel lady in the forest, she's the new Dr. Stone.
I still don't know what to make it of high heels in a Stone Age, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright then. So, do we have anything else to say, or shall we finish things up?
Yeah, I that covers everything. All my thoughts and stuff.
Alright.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's anything much to say. This is a good chapter. I liked it quite a bit, but I'll have to see where it goes. So yeah, that's it for me this week.
Alright then, so that is gonna do it for this week of Stammer Stream. Thank you for watching, either on my YouTube channel or live at twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. We usually record on Mondays at noon Eastern Standard Time, 5 PM GMT and 6 PM GMT+1. You can follow me on Twitter at Wensleydale Cheddar for updates on the stream, on Penganta, friendly faces everywhere, iffy reviews, World Triggered, and many other things. Follow Milo at Hoven with an H for anime waifus and Cabal hijinks and possible Cabal cars, but we don't know. Nobody knows.
Don't get your hopes up. I'm wishing I hadn't plugged it now because I don't think it's gonna happen at this point. There was scuffles between. What?
Oh dear. I thought that this was going to be our Unohana. We're just going to announce it every single week, and
we
it
could
never
do
comes.
that. I'm sure now that summer's happening, I could try and convince them to maybe at least restart it, if not release the episode re-recorded. Indefinite hiatus from something that never started to go off on hiatus, I guess.
Which is also going to become the joke for when we're doing the podcast in July and August, which is like, welcome to Stammer Stream, where Jonah is definitely coming back next week.
No, we'll just have to come up with a voice for you. Every single one of us is going to be doing a very stereotypical Canadian accent.
Just have Greel come on the show and just like pretend to be me. like, wow, Jonah, you've gotten really thickly European all of a sudden.
Yeah, we could do that. Speaking of whom, follow Dr. Nova at Jonah Left Snow for his WMR Choose Your Own Adventure game, which doesn't get enough popularity. Not
It
as
gets
as
far
it
more than
should.
it deserves.
It's glorious, and if you are a fan of WMR, you'll definitely like it. The link to this you'll find in the YouTube description of the episode. And follow Castor at KastorUK for I guess nothing if he's dead now. For children's card games.
Dead but not forgotten.
Also that. Be sure to visit our One Piece RP forum, One Dream Adventure Reborn, to write some lovely stories with us and hang out with us to talk about manga in general. Oh god, I just realized I need to be away for an episode. I think I will be away for next episode, which means you can do my voice. You can do a.
Oh dear.
You can do a combo of a stammering, stereotypical Polish accent.
Goody.
Anything else you guys want to plug?
No, not at the moment. I literally just got done with assessments, so not really much going on right now. But hopefully there should be at some point.
Jonah, any updates on the event?
No major updates at the moment. Everything's going fairly well. I want to point out though, because there's been a little bit of confusion on this. Just because you've requested a challenge does not mean you just kind of have to. Your thread has to like stop completely unless you want it to, like unless you specifically want to wait for the challenge before you keep writing for the story. You can keep going on for a little while because we understand that it can be a little tricky. Like if there's a little bit of a backlog of the challenges right now, so we totally understand if like you want to keep moving your stories forward along the way.
I'm currently in a thread in which Silpha would fit right in, so it's a shame that you're not there, Hoven. I'm basically in a thread with my angry beaver lady. And I will keep calling her that. Along with Grint, who's also very angry, and with Iris's character, who was just kind of.
So we just have to throw in Shoto to just have the most pissed off path in the entire form.
Yes. Is he in the Path of Power?
He's in the Path of Fame, sadly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shame. In any case, I'm supposing, Noya would just end up fighting him, and they would just duke it out in the path, and just one would follow.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay then. Once again, cheers for watching, and see you next week. Take care.
Bye, everybody.